Very good afternoon to one and all. So my name is Radhika and I am from YouTooCanRun. Also, I am part of the client servicing team for YouTooCanRun, and I happen to be a national level footballer myself and also have a shared passion for cycling, like many others over here right now. And I'm going to be a host for today's kickoff event, the virtual launch of Messengers and Cycles. Also, thank you so much, everybody, for taking out the time and being a part of this launch and making it a successful event. So, to begin with, let me put across some fun facts about cycling because it's all about cycling here and a lot of cyclists around. So, let me begin with putting up some fun facts. So, like we're all aware of, cycling happens to be one of the most environment friendly sources of transport, which in turn helps us reduce the carbon footprint. And actually, it helps us make 20%, like 20 times cheaper to maintain a cycle than a car. So now we all know why we should cycle. I mean, it's very pocket friendly to all of us for all the household errands that you want to do. The second thing is that for all who are looking for an easy recreational activity, well, cycling it is. I mean, most of us would be thinking, like I don't want to work out today, so it's okay. I mean, just go out for a cycle because if if you can cycle actually 3 times faster than what you walk, and the energy use is exactly same as you do for a walk. So I mean, it's just so much easier and better. A very interesting fact over here is a trek madon, which is also known as a butterfly bike. It is considered one of the most rarest and valuable items. It's one of the rarest and valuable bikes in the world, and it actually went on an auction and it was sold out for 5,000 USD dollars. That is some really expensive bike. Also, to mention, the world manufactures about 100 million bicycles each year, and with the pandemic, it has led to maximum number of sale of cycles during the lockdown in India. And in India itself, during the lockdown, we sold around 41 lakh cycles. Now, that really makes it an interesting fact for all our cyclists to know, and how actually the pandemic has put up and made everybody, a little more keener to cycling because it's more safe out there. You're all alone, driving and cycling. So that is what I had, to start off for, fun facts over here. So going ahead with, let me give a just about all the other organizations that are involved in making messengers of cycle and, getting this event started. So what exactly Messengers on Cycle is? So Messengers on Cycles is one such event that is organized to commemorate Helen Keller's birthday, which is on the 27th of June. And it is also to celebrate the indomitable spirit of Helen Keller, and also to spread the awareness of inclusion, education, and supporting children and adults with deaf-blindness. So, I mean, a lot of us over here would be knowing who Helen Keller is for the ones who have heard of her now. So, Helen Keller was a very renowned author. She was also a political activist and a lecturer who went on to become one of the most celebrated personalities in history. And in spite of being deaf-blind, she was able to break barriers and conquer the world. So, Messengers and Cycles is a complete event which is dedicated to deaf-blind people. And that is what the whole event is about. And we'll learn more about the event coming forward in this whole presentation. So next I would like to speak about is Sense International India. So they are the main organizers, and it's more of their event which they had. So Sense International India is the only organization in India that has been working exclusively for deaf blindness. So they help children and adults with deaf blindness have access to a better life and provide sustainable livelihood opportunities. And I must say, in the last 21 years, we have succeeded in establishing 51 need-based services. Sorry, it's 59 need-based services, and it's in 22 states of India. And they've managed to reach out to 77,500 plus deafblind people. I must say, this is one of the most commendable job that they are working on, To put more about Cycle for Good. So Cycle for Good is a year-round virtual cycling event. It's a year-round virtual cycling challenge, and we've joined hands with more than 30 NGOs to help raise funds and support their cause while promoting cycling as an alternative form of exercise. and also helping people get into a habit of staying fit. So, and this Messengers and Cycles is a special edition of Cycle for Good, and it is it's like I said, we have 30 NGOs that we partnered with. Sense International India is also one of our NGO partners, and we curated this entire event in hand with Sense International, because that's how, I mean, this was one event which was curated in such a manner. So now moving forward is to YouTooCanRun. So YouTooCanRun is India's full suite endurance sports management entity that provides integrated race management solutions to event organizers, corporates, and non-profits across India. So we have successfully managed over 1,800 running events, and we've had more than 9,75,000 registrations in all these years. And we have a strong database of more than 4.5 lakh across India. So that is about YouTooCanRun. So here is SBC3. So SBC3 has been a consulting charity partner for us in Cycle for Good and as well over here. So SBC3 stands for is Center for Social and Behavior Change Communication. It is a non-profit public company. It is a UNICEF partner agency and has developed strategies to eliminate child marriages in Maharashtra. Also, their own programs focus on adolescent mental health and child sexual abuse. So now to begin with the launch, so let me welcome our speaker and panelist for today. One of our speaker and panelists for today, which would be Mr. P. Venkatraman. So he is the founder and director of YouTooCanRun. Just a second. Yeah. So he's a founder and director of YouTooCanRun, and I would say moreover, he's like the heart and soul of YouTooCanRun over here. So he's a qualified CA, and he was a founder of 2 BPOs, international and domestic, and he handled more than 3,000 plus employees over there. So, and he also happens to be the only RRCA certified race director in India. And I mean, not to say, but everybody who is a runner probably knows who Venkat sir is. I mean, that's the kind of personality he's had in the running community. So welcome, sir, and I would request you to take over and tell us a little more about, how mass events like these help charities and how cycling is actually a benefit to so many of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Radhika. Thanks for all the nice words about me, which you and my team has put. I feel embarrassed, but anyway, but let's coming down to the point. One thing that is very clear is that the world is going through a difficult situation. Everybody is, in difficulty. Even rich people, industrialists, business owners, shopkeepers, everybody is in difficulty. NGOs are themselves also in difficulty. But the beneficiaries of NGOs are probably last in the pecking order. I mean, they are the more, they were anyway in difficulty, and now the NGOs are in difficulty, so they are in even more difficulty. So the world is going through this very difficult time. Question is what to do. While we may, want the government to do so many things and all that, ultimately self-help is the best help, kind of thing. And the only way in which the NGOs can help their beneficiaries is through charity. Okay, charity can come in various forms. One is the companies giving CSR money, large donors, Bill Gates giving through his foundation, and all that is what the big things that we read about. But the things that we don't read about are the first fact that peer-to-peer fundraising, and I'll break down the term, is the largest collection of charity in the world. Okay, what does this mean? Peer-to-peer means I am saying that I want money for some charity, and my friends give it to me. Running events, cycling events, what are called mass participation endurance events, is the only sport that raises the maximum amount of charity in the world. Published fact, accepted by everybody. They are very glamorous sports. Wimbledon, tennis, IPL, sailing, golf, and so many sports. But none of them raise as much money for charity as running and cycling do worldwide. Okay, this is because there are so many running and cycling events. In every event, there is some charitable cause. In every event, there are thousands, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 runners taking part in an average. Many of them have a charity pin. This year, for example, the London Marathon I think is about 5,000 pounds. Okay, is a charity bib of London Marathon. Okay, so Bombay Marathon also has got charity bibs. These runners who want to take part and do take part, they contribute small amounts, and through these small amounts, the NGOs get a lot of money. There's an old phrase, Hindi phrase, "Boond boond se banta hai sagar." So it is the same thing. Many small drops go to this. My this before I give it back to Radhika is that everybody who's there here must make at least one or two people join the event. It's the fees are hardly anything. You get a T-shirt, you get this, you get that. It's for a good cause. Some deaf, blind child somewhere in this country will benefit because you are decided to register for the event and cycle during the event. Thank you, Radhika.
Yes, sir. So also, sir, we just wanted to know, I mean, if you could tell us what's the story behind the collaboration between Cycle for Good and Messengers on Cycles. I mean, how and why it fell into its place, the way
Okay,
we
that's a
are.
very good idea. So we are. Let me go a little bit back. We all know that Mumbai Marathon races last year they raised some 45 crores for charity. Now it's a very large event. It's been there for 15 years. It's built a certain traction. It's got a certain brand pull, and NGO 270 NGOs participated, benefited from that. We felt if somebody could do that in running, why can't we do it in cycling? And the problem with cycling is that an on-ground event in cycling is very difficult because you require a lot of space, and everybody has to come by cycle. They'll come by car. So the logistics are very difficult. And you can run 21 kilometers, but if you cycle 21 kilometers, it'll get over in 10 minutes or something like that. For a good cyclist. So that being the situation, cycling events on ground are very difficult. So and the virtual event and the pandemic and all that started. So we said, why don't we do a virtual cycling event, which will be acting as a fundraiser for charities. So we got my friend Nishit Kumar to come on board, and he in turn enrolled 28 NGOs who are there on board of Cycle for Good. And we said that we will have a general edition, which is Cycle for Good. We will also have customized editions for NGOs that want to do their own thing. So it's like a platform that anybody can do. So Messengers on Cycles was an on-ground event conducted by Sense International, which of course can't be done now. So we decided to take this event virtual, and there are many advantages of going virtual. You don't have the space, you don't have the headache of a stage and a police permission and all these things that build expenditure that goes, and which is after that day morning 9:30, 10, it is a waste because that expenditure has no residual value for the organizer or for anybody. So you don't have all those expenditures, and people can enroll from anywhere. Internationally, people can participate. Nationally, people can participate. Anybody who supports the cause can take part in the event. They can cycle in Europe, they can cycle in England, they can cycle in Italy, wherever. So there are many. They can cycle in the morning, they can cycle in the evening. As long as they cycle, we are happy with that. So that is why we decided that we'll take the existing Messengers on Cycle, which was a on-ground event and which naturally cannot grow because there are so many restrictions, and give it a virtual persona. And that is how Messengers on Cycles got born, got conceived, and is being rolled out today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So with that, I would like to introduce Nishit, sir. Nishit Kumar from FBC3. So Mr. Nishit is a founding member of SBC3. He has previously been the CEO of an ITS company, after which he developed a passion to work on the issue of child sexual abuse. And Nishit sir set up the IT-based communication centers for Childline. So if you all know the helpline number 1098, which was made particularly for children's and, for any time, they could just call and get for help. So he played a very important integral part in forming that. And now that number is the world's largest helpline for children. So Nishit sir, we would love to welcome you. And if you could, throw us some more light upon what the challenges are faced by the NGOs due to this whole pandemic situations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those kind words. When the first wave hit India last year and lockdown started, it also set back the economy in a very, very big way because the country was closed down, locked down. However, on the ground, NGOs across the country immediately got into the help mode, helping migrant labor with food, shelter, transport, and so on. And then just in the beginning of this year, when we thought that the COVID first wave was behind us, that we had gone past it, the second wave has hit us with a vengeance. Unfortunately, the second wave has also taken hundreds of development sector NGOs, social workers' lives, hundreds of them. Every day on various forums, we're receiving news of some development sector workers' death, social workers' death, or the other across the country. People have lost families. And during this period, two critical things happened that have further tightened the noose for NGOs. One was that last year in September, the government introduced a new FCRA regulation saying that all FCRA donations from abroad to NGOs who have an FCRA will only happen into one single SBI main branch account in Delhi, and that should be opened by 1st April this year. This itself has been an issue, huge issue. The matter has gone to court. So funds from foreign, were stymied because they could not come into the accounts of NGOs this fiscal year due to this specific issue. That the FCRA regulation, even if it does come into SBI account, you can't draw more than 20% of that for your own expenses. You can't sub-grant the money. So therefore, and there has been a lot of issues that I have seen, some people, importing oxygen concentrator kits, cylinders, and all that from various sources, and use all kinds of wire methods to get them into the country and distribute. Most of it is not strictly legal. NGOs have had financial cuts in a severe way. Last year, almost all of the CRS in the country from corporates went away to the PM CARES fund and COVID-related issues. NGOs barely got any. This year, even before CRS started, the second wave has hit us. So this is a double whammy in an extreme sense. On the top of that, all NGOs were required, every NGO was required to reboot their 12A and 80G registrations starting 1st April this year. This meant, and NGOs who've been around for 30, 40 years were also told, no, you have to reapply for 12A and 80G license. So that process has happened, and there is a lot of unclear aspects about that process. What happens when the application is pending? What happens when the application is not cleared? Does it mean corporates can't donate to you? We've all gone around telling each other that no, there is nothing in the law. Old ATG registrations still stand valid until the new one comes. But this is a gray area. The net result of all this is NGOs have been stifled completely. Across every sector, I have seen this happening. And this is hit us all very, very hard. Cycle for Good is a unique kind of platform that Venkat and his team have created. And one of the beautiful things about it is that it is COVID friendly. You keep a natural distance while cycling. You can wear a mask, and you don't have breathing problems because you can always hold on the pedal for a few seconds without having to pedal all the time. So it is actually, in many senses, COVID friendly. And because of that, world over, cycle sales have boomed during the last 1 year. Even in India. In India, some kinds of cycles, there are waiting periods now for cycling. Also, at the same time, state governments and the union government across the country have now woken up to the fact that we must have cycling paths on roads. We must encourage short distance commuters to shift to cycling. So there is a whole ecosystem move that is happening to support cycling. The Cycle for Good is therefore happening at a very appropriate time. The concept of people who are challenged, people who are disabled because of some faculties, there is a huge need to support them during this period. Because like everybody else, they are not just marginalized, they're doubly marginalized during this period. So this event, has been converted into a virtual event, which allows people across the country, and if I'm not mistaken, across the world to participate in this event. So it's a great initiative, and I wish all of you the best of luck for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nishit sir. So with that, I would also like to introduce Mr. Akhil Paul from Sense International India. So he is the director and founder member of Sense International India. He's the former vice president of Deaf Blind International, which is a world association and promoting services for people with deaf blindness. He has represented deaf blindness and multiple disabilities on the various national and international forums and has won several prestigious awards for his outstanding contribution in the field of deaf blindness. Welcome, Mr. Akhil. Also, I would also like to welcome Mr. Uttam Kumar, who is also part of Sense India International. He is presently working with Sense International India as deputy director. He leads the development and implementation of projects on educational, rehabilitation, inclusion, and independent living of persons with deaf blindness and multiple disabilities in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. And he's also been associated with deaf blind work since 2004 and have worked on various aspects related to the development of need-based services and program development. So we're so glad to have both of you all here. And again, once again, welcome you all. So Akhil sir, I would like to ask a question to you, and if you could tell us more about what kind of work does Sense International India does, and the history about the event of messengers on cycles.
Thank you very much, Radhika, and thank you very much to Cycle for Good, SBC3, and all friends who have joined to motivate us. See, Sense International India is an organization which came into being to give voice to people who are voiceless. And when I say voiceless, literally deaf-blind people not only have problem of vision, of inability to see, but also because they can't hear, they can't speak. So we are talking about three disabilities. And in the beginning, as Radhika mentioned, to celebrate the birth and the work of someone like Helen Keller, who was deaf-blind, who was treated like a person with mental retardation, or treated like a child who cannot be ever able to go and do anything. She won so many barriers and she became a role model. And there are many Helen Kellers amongst us. In India alone, there are about 5 lakh deafblind people. And we started our work in 1997. But before that, there was only one center in India working with probably about 20, 25 deafblind children. So you think about the size of our country and one center. What we thought that we would like to decentralize this concept. We would like to create more such centers across the country. We always have worked in the self-destructive mode. We want other NGOs to learn how to work with deafblind people. We support these smaller organizations in raising funds, in managing their finances, all those areas which are useful for us. We make sure that our partners do that as well, so that tomorrow you don't need one Sense India. There will be many Sense Indias available who will come and stand up for deafblind, for their rights, for the protection of their rights. So what we do in Sense International India is, see, if you mix two colors, what happens? If you mix, say, yellow and blue, you obviously get a third color. You get green. So when there are two disabilities which come together, it's not that half of one disability impacts us and half of the other. No, it becomes a third disability. And that's where the problem comes with deafblindness. What we do is unlock the doors of learning for deafblind children. See, our major learning comes from what we see and what we hear. Almost 84% we learn about life by watching others do from childhood. And what we hear from people, we repeat that, and that's how we learn how to speak. So about 94% is through these only two avenues, the vision and hearing. If these two avenues are interrupted or not available at all, just think how less our development would be. What we do is we help them communicate, because communication is the biggest factor. If I can't see anything, I can't interact with my environment, I will never be able to, communicate. And also, what parents do, all our parents, they have expectations from us, that my son, my daughter, my granddaughter, when they grow up, they'll become this, whatever expectations are. Unfortunately, for children who are deafblind, we have very less expectation or no expectation. That's what we are trying to break. That's what we are trying to do with parents. We are working with teachers, because with Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, now it's Samagra Shiksha. The children, whether disabled or non-disabled, they need to go to a neighborhood school. What we are doing, we are building capacity of neighborhood school teachers, regular teachers, in how to make sure the national curriculum is delivered to children with multiple disabilities and deafblind. So we are working at four different levels, including people with deafblindness, their parents, teachers, government, and also the medical fraternity, to make them understand that just writing a certificate is not going to help a child with deafblindness. We will have to refer them to places where they can get support and help. So there are many things we are doing in this kind of work. The major work what we do is through partners. So when today Venkat sir and Nishit sir, they have so, I would say, strongly explained to us that what we are going through today in terms of NGOs, it is a very, very difficult situation. And unless and until there are people who can handhold us, NGOs are not going to survive. That's where we are at the moment. So Radhika, as we go ahead, if there are more things, I'll share for the time being, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So with that, I would like Mr. Uttam Kumar to actually let us know how, with the chaos happening and the pandemic, lockdown, and so many different situations outside, how exactly has it affected Sense International India as an organization, and how messengers on cycles will actually prove to be helpful to you as an organization and an NGO?
So thank you, Radhika. And as Akhil explained about various challenges that persons with deaf blindness faces in their day-to-day life, our biggest challenge is towards reaching out to them and communicating with them. We use tactile mode as our primary mode of communication with persons with deaf blindness or child with deaf blind. And the pandemic has, one suggestion that you should not come closer, you should be far away, you should maintain distance. Whereas if we think about children with deaf blindness and their education, everything can be done only when we come closer, when we meet each other, when we touch each other. And that's where the biggest challenge we face as an organization, to how to support children with deaf blindness in this pandemic. We have tried our level best to reach out to them using technology, mobile phone, video calling. Uh, you know, Unfortunately, not every family in the country can afford to have a smartphone, and that's the biggest challenge we face when we try to reach out to every child with deaf blindness in our program. There are many families who just simply cannot have a smartphone, even though somehow they don't have access to internet, they don't have access to the data package that is required to have 1 hour long video call. So those kind of challenges that we are facing, our special educators, they are not able to reach out to homes of children with deaf blindness. Children and families are not able to come to our centers, and that's the problem that we are facing in education of children with deaf blindness. Fortunately, our effort that we have invested in capacity building of families, in implementing the program and working with us, is helping us. I mean, they are the biggest support that we have as of now. Special educators, they are able to explain to families, and families are implementing the educational program or therapy, everything at home, and it's being monitored using video calling wherever it's possible. And where it's not possible, We have tried to include volunteers in form of neighbors, who are able to lend out some of their time to be with family and let us interact with family who are not able to have smartphone. So those kind of challenges we are facing, it's a very difficult time for us. The theme of Messenger for Cycle is quite quite apt for this particular situation, because it's like reaching out to, we are cycling towards the reaching out to children with deaf blindness and the families. uh, One of the question that you asked about history and event of Messenger of Cycle, we started, this is going to be the 7th version of Messenger of Cycle, and we started in 2015 uh, with a mind frame that we will create more awareness about deaf blindness. When we started, deaf-blindness was not even identified or recognized by Disability Act as one of the distinct disability. We were still struggling to find our space in government mandate. Um, Thanks to our advocacy and long-lasting, push or our relationship with government, uh, that we were able to succeed in getting deaf-blindness recognized as one of the disability under multiple, as I mean, still it's being considered as one of the multiple disability, but where, as Akhil explained, this is a third disability and requires special attention, not just as a multiple disability. I request Akhil to say something about how did we started Messenger of Cycle.
We see what we were thinking about, that how to involve people in the movement, because any NGO, any non-government organization will never survive if they work in isolation. And Venkat sir and Nilesh sir will agree with me that NGO movement started because people came together. So what we wanted to do, to involve people together, and we said that if one person comes for knows about deaf blindness, and they talk to about 3 people, there will be so many people who will learn about deaf blindness. And that was the reason we started with school, young children, and who started cycling. We used to hire cycles from outside service providers, because not everybody had cycle at that point of time. So we used to hire, and with registering people, giving them cycles, and having a 3-hour event. But slowly and gradually, we saw that people have become very interested, and that's when we thought that we need to go in a bigger way. And last year we could not do it, as Venkat sir said. Last year we just could not organize a physical event. So what we did, we tried the first virtual event, which was mainly, you know, among supporters. And we said, even if you can't cycle at home, can you do any activity which where you can move your legs, or you can cycle on the air, whatever you can do, we will consider it as messenger of cycle. And we said that ask your family members and friends to join into this movement. So we are very grateful to Cycle for Good, SBC3, and who have now today they have given a different platform. We are really grateful for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. With everything, all the issues and everything that are here, I can just think of a quote which I read, which Helen Keller had mentioned. It said, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of overcoming it. And I'm pretty sure, like, together, everyone would definitely make a difference to all the situations. With that, I would like Ms. Venkat sir to help us actually take up, with what more, helping us understand the entire virtual event and the flow of how messengers and cycle would be, and the different race categories that we have. So, Venkat sir?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. So for those who are new to this thing called virtual events, many people have asked me, oh, virtual event means I don't even have to cycle. They think that some computer will cycle for them. No, that is not correct. You still have to cycle. You still have to, cycle those kilometers. You still have to pedal. what is virtual then? If I have to cycle, then people have asked me, what is virtual? Virtual kya hai? What is virtual is that you don't do it in location on ground on one day. You can do it wherever. But the collection of data, the tracking of the performance, giving of prizes, giving of medal, t-shirt, certificate, which all used to happen in on the ground, that is now virtual. So today, for us, and I'm saying fortunately for us, there are so much of electronics. Everybody has some watch, Garmin, Fitbit, so many things are there, noise, and I don't even remember all the brands now, which can track your run, track your heartbeat, track your distance, all this. If you don't have one of these, you can get many apps on the phone. There are many apps on the phone where you can download and you can just put your phone on your pocket wherever, or on a sleeve band, or on your, a handlebar or whatever, wherever you carry your phone when you cycle, and turn on the app, and the app will record how many hours you cycled, how much distance you cycled, what speed you went, what power you generated, and all those metrics that everybody likes. So the recording is either on by the watch with smartwatch, or it is on the phone. You can choose whatever you want to choose in this particular event. Once you do that, there is an app which will be launched soon, and your performance records into the app. The app takes over the data from the phone, whatever you have cycled for that day, aggregates it, and then there is something known as a leaderboard. A leaderboard it's a board of showing who has cycled more. So how much Nishit cycled, how much Venkat cycled, how much Akhil cycled, how much Uttam cycled, who cycled more number of days. All those fancy metrics that you want can all come out because this data is aggregated. And then prizes and completion, and then challenges and categories, and all these other goal setting parameters can be activated based upon that. So you have to actually cycle. All the benefits of cycling, exercise, the fresh breeze, the endorphins, happiness, meeting people with mask, social distancing, taking selfies, all that is there. Okay, in a location of your choice, at a time of your choice, with friends of your choice. Okay, cycling groups. You just have to pay the money. You're part of the challenge. What the challenge does is that because you paid that money and registered into that race category, it gives you a sense of purpose. Let me give a small example. I'm running regularly. I've run so many marathons. We are athletes, but we all need that sense of purpose. Okay, I tell people very often that until the exam hall ticket doesn't come, the child doesn't open the book to start studying. And I'm sure that this has happened in everybody's house, including our own lives. Okay, we tend to put off what is not necessary. Okay, so what happens is that when you register for an event like this, it gives you a sense of purpose because you have chosen a certain race category, and we'll go through the race categories, and you have said that much kilometers in that many days I will cycle. I have paid money for it and I have to do it. There's a leaderboard and there's a social accountability. Okay, let's say Akhil and Nishit have decided to take a certain race category, then there's always this excitement na, ki Nikhil kitna kiya, Nishit kitna kiya, there's always the social accountability which adds that sense of purpose, drives you to better accomplishment. You don't want to be trailing back, etc. So that is what a virtual event does for you, even though and the expenditure is much lesser. You don't incur a lot of expenses that are connected with actually putting up the event. So those savings come to you, and whatever that savings are going to that NGO, and the NGO is benefiting. So you're doing good for yourself by cycling, and by being healthy, by being putting an activity into yourself. You also know that whatever you're doing, you're not just doing it as a selfish purpose, but you're also, some part of that money has gone to help some deaf blind child somewhere. So there is a sense of also gratitude, gratification, charity, altruistic purpose. When people are difficulty, I'm benefiting myself, I'm also this. That is why it's called cycle for good, which means you for the good of you and for the good of society. Okay, so having said this, what are the race categories? You can see this presentation that Radhika has been this, and I'm sure that by the time I told you all this, you all must have gone through that presentation. So the first category is called story of my life. Is we have called this challenge category. So these race categories, in a typical running race, you'll have 5K, 10K, 21K, half marathon, full marathon, 10 miler, those will be the categories. Here we give it more imaginative names. So the story of my life is a very popular book by Hellen Keller. It is a story, is an autobiography. So the race that has got this is the story of my life. The registration starts from today, but the race That is what is known as the challenge period. That is a period in which you take up the challenge. Starts on 27th of June, which is her birthday, and ends on 3rd of December, which is World Disability Day. So it is an event that is going on from 27th June to 3rd December, from Hellen Keller Day to World Disability Day. Okay. Who is a person to be taken? An advanced cyclist, somebody who cycles regularly, does long distances, is an avid cyclist, will not want 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. When he sits on the cycle, he wants to do 25, 30, 40 kilometers, So that is the target. He has to do within that many days, on 35 days. Okay. He has to cover 1880 kilometers. Why 1880? Because Hellen Keller was born in the year 1880. So we just try to be imaginative with it. He has to cycle 1880. Now he can take more than 35 days. He can do it in 50 days. He can do it in 60 days. We don't mind. He can do more than 1880 days. That also we don't mind. But the challenge is to do 35 days and 80. So this is the minimum. Maximum can be anything. Okay. And you have to cycle minimum 35 days. And the registration fee is 1600 rupees. It looks like a lot. But if you look at Boston or Tata Mumbai Marathon or any of these events, it's not really money. But you get a t-shirt, which is a very good cycling jersey. You get a zipper, you get a neck multi-wear, which is like a buff which you can use, because many cyclists require these buffs because when you want to put in an helmet, hair comes out, so the buff is there. You get a medal and you get a knee certificate. So you get everything. You get an app, you get a leaderboard, you get certificates, and you get all the social media things that you can post about. And lastly, that out of the 1600, some 250, 300 rupees is actually going to Sense International. Some child somewhere will benefit from that event. So I'm not going through all the race categories. They are there for you to look at. I just gave an example of one. So we got race categories into different things. So the first three are in category engagement for 35 days. Then we got a weekend category. And if somebody wants to do it only for one day and not do it for all the days, then we also got a one-day category. So for example, somebody may say that, no, I don't want to do 35 days, but I and my kids will cycle on one day. We still tell us what we want. So therefore, on those days, there is just one day category. Again, there somebody will say, no, I can't do a 35-day thing, all that. But on one day, I'm willing to do 50 kilometers. I'm willing to do 25 kilometers. I'm willing to do 12 kilometers. So then you can pick and choose. You can take categories that are advanced, longer engagement. You can take categories that are just one day. You can encourage people in your society to cycle. I am sure that all of us, there are many brand ambassadors here. You can go to your society, you can go to your school, you can tell all your classmates, hey, let's all cycle one day and put photographs. Many things can be done. You can go to a company and tell your employer, this is this thing, and why don't we pay? Okay, see, for example, today many employers are paying for the vaccination of their employees, okay, which many employers are doing. So why don't employers pay for the health of the employees? Is a question. For example, my wife is in Edelweiss and they're paying 1800 rupees per vaccination for their thing. So why can't Edelweiss pay 1600 rupees for 35 days of cycling, which is also equally healthy for the employee concerned? So many of you who are working with employers can take it to their employers. My team is there, Radhika is there, the team from Sense International is there. We will support you, we will customize you. We can even do different permutation combinations of the race categories. That is one of the benefits of being virtual. Everything can be customized. You can do things. For example, if some corporate comes and tells us, no, t-shirt we will take out the value of the t-shirt. We don't mind making. We'll make a separate form. Reduce the cost of the t-shirt, and still we'll earn some money, and the employees can get a company t-shirt for cycling on that day or on that period. So lots of flexibility, lots of options, lots of ways in which you can play a small role in helping a deaf blind child. Thank you very much, Radhika.
Thank you, Venkat sir. Thank you so much. So this is a very interesting thing that the team came up with. So what we did was, every challenge period is actually named with everything related to Hellen Keller. So if you see the first one, which was under the challenge period 27 June to 3rd December, The Advanced Cyclist is named as The Story of My Life, which is a book based on Hellen Keller. And similarly, we have various categories, and each categories have been named in that kind of a fashion. So we, in a very real sense, we actually celebrate Helen Keller, her birthday, and her spirit. So that is what I wanted to share with you. So going forward, um, I mean, this is one thing that I would like to say is that everyone has a level of influence, and that actually can be harnessed for a greater good. And like I said, our ambassadors are one of those people, are one of those influences who actually can harness their whole influence in order to get us and help us reach the greater good. So here we have is Mr. Amay, who is a triathlete and a cyclist who's completed the Ironman challenge. We have Amog Vikram Singh. We have Gerald, who's also a passionate cyclist and a runner and also a fitness enthusiast. We have Kumar Mahesh, who's also a professional cyclist. We have Pooja Verma. She is an certified marathon trainer. She also is a 2XU India influencer and also is a very passionate cyclist. We have Vidhi Banushali. She is a physiotherapist herself and a very, very keen cyclist. We have Shesh Nayak, who is also a passionate endurance sports athlete. And he actually is more profound in long distance triathlons and ultra marathons. We have Shraddha Mehta, who is an athlete and a cyclist. Apart from them, we have other ambassadors as well. We have Mr. Omkar Dire, who is an Ironman challenge, who's completed the Ironman challenge. He's a triathlete himself. We also have Amartya Sinha, who is an athlete and a cyclist himself. So thank you so much, all our ambassadors and many other ambassadors who we look forward to engage with. Thank you for being on board with us and making this event. And we hope that you take this event much, much higher and create a lot of difference for this. Thank you so much. And now is the most awaited part. So everyone who wants to participate or has participated in an event, we all look forward is to knowing what am I going to get if I participate. So this is what the deliverables look like. We have our jersey, so and which is made out of it is a complete cycling jersey wherein we have pockets, we have the reflectors, everything kept in mind. We have a medallion, we have the zipper, the multi neckwear which can be used in multiple different ways, and the e-certificate. So this is what are the deliverables that it looks like. With this, I would like
Radhika, we can't hear you.
Yes, she's had an internet issue. She's just joining back in a second.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Radhika, you are.
Go ahead, Radhika.
I'm so sorry. I think I got dropped off. So sorry. So आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है Radhika, but
Okay, thank you. So I couldn't hear. That is the issue. So yeah, Akhil sir, we just wanted you to do the official launch of the event. I mean, if it was an on-ground thing, we would have loved having everybody on ground and done a nice cake cutting ceremony. Would have been a warm, nice launch. But then it's virtual, so it's on you. Let's just have the official launch.
I would like to request, in fact, Niti ji and Venkat ji, and also your ambassadors. Maybe they can clap and they can launch the event. We would love to have their support because this is something which is going to be meaningful only when we all are together. And as you said, Radhika, and also as Helen Keller said, that alone we can do so little, together we can do so much more. So I think we all can launch it, and I'll be very happy. Uh, it was first of all, when before we started the meeting, the kind of conversation which was going on among the ambassadors, that was so heartwarming. That showed how connected you all are. So it's really congratulations, Venkatji, that you have created this kind of platform where people are so warmly connected with each other, and that is going to help us as well in taking the cause of deafblind children and open many doors. So please, Radhika, you go ahead, and I request my team, Sense India team also, uh, maybe we, led by Venkat sir, we launch it.
Sure, sir.
So what we can do is that we can all turn on our cameras and we can all clap for 2 minutes, and pray to the Almighty that everything goes well for each deaf blind child in the country.
The count of 3 from you, sir.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. This
Thank
is
you, everyone.
heartwarming to see everybody's camera on and clapping.
Yes, I
Make
know.
it feel like you're all here, It's just so nice. So with that, we're open to all the questions and answers that we have for Venkat sir, or anybody wants to put up some question to Sense International team. We are up for questions. So if anybody has a question, you can put it up in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer your questions.
Or raise your hand and we are happy.
Yes.
There are no question. I just wanted to add one thing. The Venkat sir, Nishit
Yes.
sir, the team, your team has worked so well, for us to come to this level of presentation in terms of how we are going to take it forward, what should be the prizes, how to connect it and make it more meaningful. It has been brilliant. I don't have any other word but brilliant. So thank you very much, Hiral, Radhika, and everybody else who must have worked behind the scenes, from your team, from our team side. This has been a very good beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And we also wish Hiral's daughter happy birthday in advance.
Oh yes, happy birthday to her. What is her name, Hiral?
My daughter's name is Dwiti, but it is Priya's daughter's birthday.
Oh, sorry.
Priya from SBC3.
So all
Yes, thank you so
the
much.
coming 6 months, whoever is having birthday, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
So I don't think there's any questions that we have as of now.
If there are no questions, then we can close the.
Right.
So
So
a small suggestion that
yeah.
I am hoping that you can share with everybody who's been on this meeting a post which they can share on their WhatsApp, on their Signal, Telegram, and Facebook and Twitter accounts. So if you can share a ready-made post which has a link for people to register, then every one of us can send it out to hundreds of our, people we know, and encourage people to register for it.
Sure.
Sure, sir. We will do that. So then I do not see any other questions. So I would like Nishit sir to tell us a few words, a parting note to everybody.
Thank you so much. The one thing that the pandemic has taught the development sector community across the country is to collaborate. We have learned now painfully over the last 12 months that working alone is not a workable solution. Joining hands, partnering each other, collaborating with each other, coming together on various forums, this is the way to go. And the sector has been very open, has adopted it. There are so many forums now where so many people from different NGOs collaborate together. So this is a great way to do that. If we all can do that, and all we need to do is to send a message to, let's say, 10 of our friends who we know will register on this. Even if all 10 don't register and only half of them register, if 1,000 of them, if 1,000 such people join, that will be 1,000 messages are sent, we will get 5,000 registrations. And that will help not just Sense International, it will help the community. So this is the way to go. This is a good COVID-friendly way to go. So I wish you all the very best for this event, and I look forward to its success. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the best again.
Thank you so much, Nishit sir. Akhil sir and Uttam sir, we'd like you to tell us a parting note from your end.
I just want to say that a bit emotional note, but I just wanted to share this just to make my point home. See, we know that the world exists till we can see a vision, the building, the tree, or the hill, or the faintest voice we hear. We know that the world exists still there. But for a deaf-blind child, their world is limited to the fingertips. What they can touch, world ends there. So beyond their fingertips, there's nothing that exists for them. Unless you and I go to their level and help them come out of that cocoon of isolation. And that's what the message we have on Messengers of Cycle. Thank you very much for joining in. And I am very, very confident that we are going to have all of you as messengers, and through you, there will be many other messengers on Cycle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. If you are done, then can I end the meeting for all?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving
Thank you.
all
Thank you,
views.
sir.
And
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venkat
Thank
sir.
you so much,
everybody.
Venkat
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you.